Welcome to the Career Tipper Podcast, hosted by professional development author and coach Michelle Beatty. The Career Tipper Podcast shares career advancement tips and resources for a variety of industries to assist professionals to keep their soft and technical skills recharged, competitive, and hire ready.
Welcome back to Season 2 of Skills Recharge. The conversation continues with corporate trainer Mahjooba Bianchi during Episode 3. Mahjooba is a registered education provider for the Project Management Institute and an accredited and certified PMP instructor. She has helped over 500 project management professionals ace the PMP exam using her proven 3T system to get at least a 20% increase and gain career growth. During this episode, Mahjooba is going to share her perspective of why more professionals should invest in their professional development by acquiring industry certifications. I'm your host, Michelle Beatty, professional development advocate. Mahjooba, welcome to the Career Tipper Podcast.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I'm happy to be here, and hello, everyone.
Yes, indeed. Mahjooba, please share the turning point that you realized that acquiring a professional certification was a necessity to having career longevity on your terms.
Oh my God, absolutely. So it was the summer of 2014, and here I was all excited about my brand new MBA degree in IT project management. And so I said, I'm going to go to my boss, and I've got this degree, I've spent over $50,000 on it, and I'm going to ask for a promotion. And how could they say no to that, right? And they did. And so what my boss said to me, he asked if I had the PMP certification. And I said, wait a minute. What do you mean the PMP certification? I have an MBA in IT project management. I chose to go that route versus getting a certification. And he goes, you know what? The customer requires that. I was working for the government contractor at that point. The government was requiring that anyone who wants to become a project manager on the contracts has to have a PMP certification. And I didn't have one. So that's when I was like, really, do I really have to go back and study again? And I did, and, went through the whole boot camps. And that's when I realized that, that the entire industry was now turning from higher education to more certification driven, looking for individuals that had certifications.
Mahjooba, what emotions went through your head when you had that revelation? Because I'm sure many professionals are experiencing that now during their job search. What were some of the emotions, and what did you tell yourself?
I was really disappointed. I think I had worked so hard on my MBA, and I was very proud of that. And thinking that when I came out, I should expect to get at least a $10,000 increase and some kind of promotion waiting for me. But the reaction from my corporate office really was kind of like, okay, well, congrats, but here's a 2% raise and continue doing what you're doing, and kind of, just it wasn't a big reaction. So I said to myself, did I really make the right decision here? And so I kind of questioned my own path of decision making. So it wasn't a good feeling at all, Michelle.
But I love how you work through it. You're like, I just dropped $50K, but that didn't deter you from moving forward with your decision to become PMP certified.
It did not. No. One of the things is that I'm very competitive. So I looked around and I wanted the next promotion. I wanted to make more money like my counterparts. And so I looked at the next greatest thing that I could obtain so I could get to that level. And so when I looked around, everyone had a BA, an MBA, and a PMP, and a CSM, and an IDL V4, and they had a whole bunch of acronyms after their names, and they were in senior positions. So I said, you know what, I'm going to start with the PMP, and let's see where that takes me.
Did you start immediately, or did you wait?
No, I actually started immediately. After I found out that that's what it was going to take, I did a little bit of research, found the boot camp, and then I just started.
I love it. I love that. So beyond the potential salary increase from becoming certified, what are other benefits of making the overall investment associated with accomplishing this goal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think in terms of the PMP, one of the things is that you really become part of a network. And that's what the certification kind of gave me, was I became part of a network, and now I was recognized as one of the experts. That's not to say that I didn't know project management beforehand. I knew how to manage projects, but all of a sudden holding a PMP put me in an entire new kind of spectrum. And so when I said that I was a PMP, more doors open. People were more, even recruiters, it took more time to talk to me about project management opportunities. And I also noticed that I wasn't being said no to when I asked for a certain amount. So, it was as if I was put in this wonderful club of, experts. And now, the world was mine. So it truly opened up both network and career opportunities at the same time.
What I love from what I'm hearing from you, what I love is that you own the choice versus the choice being made for you.
Yes. Absolutely. I think I've always looked at it in terms of what can I do to improve myself, instead of saying, oh, there's another corporation and they're not going to give me a promotion. So I kept on knocking on the door and I was like, I want the promotion. I want the promotion. So after I got my PMP, what ended up happening is, I went to my COO's office and I said, I've got my PMP. I deserve to get the project manager position now. And not only did they give me a project management position where it was about $3.5 million project with 8 team members, but I also ended up getting a $12,000 raise just from getting a PMP. And I was in a moment of shock because I said, wait a minute, and like I said before, I'm like, I had these skills, guys. A PMP certification, sure, it definitely helps in terms of learning terminology and processes, but who you are before it, that remains the same. But all of a sudden, you're recognized and looked at in a whole different light.
Amazing. Now, professional certifications are gaining momentum. That's what we're talking about right now. And they're being the game changer to being perceived as qualified for select industry-specific roles. In the past, like you mentioned, the bachelor's and master's degree, that was where the experience would cement being job offers. So what do you encourage professionals to keep in mind when they encounter this reality during their job search or quest for a promotion? Like you gave an example great of how it affected you, but like your students, or just if you're speaking somewhere, what do you want them to keep in mind? Is it a mindset you want them to keep in mind, or end of goal?
Yeah, I think in terms of what the market is demanding right now at this moment, or at least in the past 5 years, is that there's a movement away from the traditional bachelor's degrees and master's degrees. And I think if we look at it, the market's saturated with a whole bunch of us having master's and bachelor's degrees, and therefore the value has decreased. And so, for example, if we take a look at the PMP certification worldwide, there's only 1 million certified project managers. And so now there's this demand that's increased for PMP certificates, and every job that you look at requires a PMP or asks you to, when you get to the job, that within 6 months you obtain the certification. So my suggestion to those who are looking to get into the market, really any industry that they're trying to get into, is and that's not me discouraging a bachelor's or an MBA. Definitely, pursue those higher degrees. However, find your niche. What is your niche? What do you want to specialize in? And then I suggest that you go on Indeed and find that particular title that you're interested in and see the type of certifications they're actually asking for, and go obtain those. So specialize as much as you can, because when you do that, you will find that there will be more demand for you.
That is a great strategy. Thank you for sharing that. I'm all about strategy for job search, and that was a great share that you just gave.
Absolutely.
Now, you're also the CEO, principal of 3T System, and they currently offer training certification courses for the PMP, the CAPM, ITI L4. So what do you encourage professionals to keep in mind when choosing their training courses and their coaches?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in terms of training, my suggestion would be to always pick a small business that provides training. And the reason I say that is when you're working with smaller businesses that provide training, you have instructors who truly have their heart in the subject that they're teaching, and they're going to take more time to help you understand these concepts, walk you through the processes and hold your hand. And really, that's what you want, because specifically with the PMP, just because the fail rate is 60%, not because people aren't smart and can't do the actual learning, but because of the vagueness of the training classes. So find a small business and work through it. And a lot of the instructors who provide training own their own companies. So you know that they're going to only provide the best service. So that's my biggest suggestion. And coaches, I mean, if you can find a coach, generally coaches, again, they do what they do because they love it. And so anytime you find a coach that loves what they do, you know you're going to get value.
Indeed, I agree with that. Mahjooba, please share a mindset and study approach that you suggest professionals wanting to commit to daily practice for studying for sort of industry certification.
Yeah, absolutely. My suggestion has always been to take things in smaller increments. So, and by saying that, what I mean is, as busy professionals, we've probably had a long day. We're dealing with the stresses of life and work and everything else. So coming home from a long day, you're not going to want to sit behind the computer or read a book. The mental capacity won't be there. So the tip that I give is have your dinner, relax a little bit, have a cup of coffee, and just say to yourself, you know what, today I'm going to commit 15 minutes to my growth. And just commit to those 15 minutes and no more than that. Time yourself, read for 15 minutes, or use an app and just freshen up on some of the terminology, close the book, and you're done. And guess what? That should feel good to you because you have taken a small step towards your goal. And when you look at the end of the week, if you add up those 15 minutes, that's more than an hour at the end of the week that you have used towards your career and towards your professional goals.
I like the 15-minute suggestion. Indeed. Now, I also want to ask you, because I'm a huge believer of affirmations. Is there an affirmation or quote that keeps you focused, driven with all that you have going on with yourself professionally and personally?
Yeah, one of the things that I do, and I also believe in mindset, I have to continuously train myself and say that take in the moment right now. Don't worry about tomorrow or even the next hour. So what I do, kind of like the study tip that I give my students, I follow that in my daily business and professional practice. And I just say, okay, what can I accomplish in the next 15 minutes? And if there is anything, stress that comes my way, I take a deep breath and say, there's nothing I can do about this right now. But I know that if I stay calm and relaxed, a solution will come up for it. I'll allow the universe to take care of it. So that's kind of, and the mindset that I have is that I always look at the glass half full. For one bad thing, I think about two good things that could potentially happen. And so that way, that whole entire scenario changes for me.
Understood. Now, Mahjooba, I totally appreciate you being a guest on the Career Tipper podcast, and thank you for taking the time to share your industry insight with the listeners. And for those that may want to become a student or contact you for a one-on-one coaching session, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. They can email me at mahjooba@3tsystem.com or follow me on Instagram under Mahjooba _EasyPM, or on Facebook, you can find me under Mahjooba Bianchi. So message me or DM me or email me. I will get back to you within 24 hours.
Awesome. And you can find me, Michelle Beatty, at careertipper.com and on Facebook and Instagram at careertipper and on Twitter at careertipper1. Please listen and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher Radio. If you enjoyed this episode or any other episode of Career Tipper Podcast, please leave a 5-star review on iTunes. Thank you so much for joining us today. And remember to be confidently you.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Career Tipper Podcast. We're grateful for our listeners. For more resources about how to keep your skills recharged, visit careertipper.com. Follow Michelle on Instagram and Facebook at Career Tipper and on Twitter at CareerTipper1. Until next time, stay curious.